Hey everybody, Murgle here, and today I wanted to talk about the artifact power changes in 7.2 and my opinion on them. Now, my opinion is going to be a little biased because I personally hate artifact power. I hate it. I'm not gonna deny it in the slightest. I completely loathe it. It was pretty much the reason I got bored of WoW for such a long session, because it's such a grind, a terrible, terrible grind, and it was driving me insane. So I do hate it. With 7.2, it's not as important, but at the same time, it still does play a pretty big role. So let's just go over it. Now, on my main character, I haven't even completed the artifact. Just an example, I haven't filled out every trait. But with 7.2, we're getting more traits. And then, of course, when you fill out the artifact, you get Paragon levels. All of the Paragon levels points you put in so far are being refunded. So if you have off-spec weapons and you've gotten already maxed out your Paragon levels, because I know a lot of you put a lot of time into it, and you're probably maxed them out. Go ahead and level your alt weapons, they say, because it no longer matters if you keep saving your tokens. The tokens are going to be useless. Kind of like when you change seasons with Arena and stuff, and you know how the honor tokens were working, they would disappear. You couldn't carry tokens over into new seasons, so don't bother saving any artifact points at all. As for 7.2 though, all of the people are getting, you're going to do a short quest and then it'll unlock your new talents. From what I've read, it's going to unlock your new talents, and it'll also give you all the points that you put into Paragon levels. So all the points that you had in Paragon levels are immediately going to be handed right over, and then boom, you're already pretty far ahead. So getting your Paragon levels does matter. If you're looking to max out one of your main specs, go ahead and, if you've been playing hardcore, you probably already got all 54 points in it, but go ahead and max it out. Now, again, my opinion's biased, but I don't like really the change that's coming. I just wish the Paragon levels would just vanish, right? Because the way it works in 7.2 is, rather than getting a huge increase, like in 7.0 till now, Paragon levels made a big difference because it was just more damage raw, and it was a pretty hefty increase if you were at max compared to when you weren't. That's a 15% damage increase, without Paragon levels. So it was a huge difference. But with 7.2, it's giving you a buff that starts out at 2,000 increased in your main stat, and it's a random proc per minute kind of buff. So 2,000 in your main stat, and then finally it caps out at like almost 12,000 in your main stat, around that number, and that's a pretty big difference too, in my opinion. But it takes so long to increase the levels that people will be pretty much on par. Even if you're grinding hardcore, you'll be pretty equal to an individual who plays fairly casually, because it'll take them so much longer to get those farther off traits. Now, the reason I don't like this, again, like I said, I'm casual now. I haven't PvP'd hardcore for a really long time because that was really stressful for me. I love PvP, but it makes me such an angry individual, and my wife would attest to that. I get very angry at the game when I play PvP. But I haven't raided that much. I did hardcore a little bit back at the beginning of Legion, but I got bored of it because I hated farming for artifact power, and since it made such a big difference, it was important, and I just hated doing it. And I don't like 7.2 in the fact that they're essentially making it because they don't want you to cap at all. They don't want you to cap it. The way it's building around is you're never going to actually cap your artifact weapon. At least from what I read, that's how it sounds, because the traits cost so many artifact points, in the trillions, I think, from what I saw. And you're just essentially not supposed to cap it, which I find stupid. I mean, this means if you want to be hardcore and push out, even though it's such a small percent, right? It plays so little because it's only a slight increase. If you want to cap it out and be like the #1 guild or the #1 in anything, you can't have an off spec because you're going to have to put every single artifact token in your main spec to get that slight advantage. Now it is just that, a slight advantage, but you're never ever allowed to play another spec because you're pretty much stuck. I mean, sure, you could in casual content, and then you're going to have to turn into your other specs so you can put every token in it. You know what I mean? It's just, you're not meant to have an off spec this expansion. And essentially someone like me who has alts, even though it's a slight advantage again, I'm not going to have the time to play an alt because I'm trying to cap out in that main spec. You understand? It's not making my interest in the game increase. Now, I'm getting back into it because I've liked gold farming and things like this. I didn't realize how much I would enjoy farming again, so I'm glad to get back into it. But I can't see myself really doing series and content. I like, the interesting stuff. Like, I go over the things that I find cool, like the artifact knowledge from doing archaeology. I like that. That's kind of cool. Not knowledge, artifact power, excuse me. But I thought it was awesome when I was on the PTR and I saw a golden shovel, and I was super excited just to find out what the golden shovel meant. But it's things like that that are cool to me and keep me interested in the game. I just don't like artifact weapons. Plain and simple. They just make it too stressful for me to enjoy the game, even from a casual point, because if I want to do, like, I do Mythic Plus and stuff, and I probably will do normal raids or at least heroic, because I want to collect mounts from the raids if possible. I like getting mounts. I like going there for that kind of RNG, but just the fact that I pretty much can only play one spec if I want to be good at one spec is rough for me. As a guy who has tons of alts, like, it's just bothersome. And I'm curious about your thoughts, but those are mine. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.